Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast. Today, brought to you by Zwift. Man, I'm a full convert. I was, y'all know, swear to God, I'm an outdoor kitty, got claws, just let me out. Everybody's like, you got to get on the Zwift train. So I did. Now I'm an indoor kitty. I just saw an interesting number. More than 10,000 riders have joined our Zwift rides in a very short amount of time. Super cool. So between We Do Wednesdays and Suffer Sundays, led by our good friend Paul Francis, amazing. Download the Zwift companion app, get you some gear, come join us every Wednesday morning and every Sunday morning. You want to suffer. That's a little too much suffer for me, to be honest. Today we're talking about Milan, San Remo, and kids, never ever forget safety third.
That's how you win.
That is how it was won today by Mate. How do we even pronounce that? Mate
Mohoric.
Mate Mohoric. What an incredible performance. So I'm joined by Johan Brunel and JB Hager. Mr. Our fearless leader, George Hincapie, is on spring break. So we gave him the day off. But what an exciting race. We'll get into all the action. Today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Talk about something I have changed. This has completely turned my whole daily regimen around, right? I'm not good about eating, greens and vegetables and fruit and all this stuff your mom told you to eat when you were growing up. I started taking Athletic Greens every day. Check this out. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Kicks off my day just right. And by the way, it's less than $3 a day. Let's make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/themove. That's again, athleticgreens.com/themove. Take ownership of your health. Join us. So, boy, it just shows, this is the great thing about bike racing, man. You get 200 of the world's best. You give them 186 miles, 293 kilometers. You put numbers on all their backs. You give them beautiful weather. You just never know. Like we did the show the other day talking about all the bigs. You just never know. Mm-hmm. That's why they start the race, right? The interesting thing, and we talked a lot about this in our pre-show, which we've talked about. We should be on the record because we were on the record about this. Mohoric uses a dropper post, right? So all those years, first of all, everybody knows we hated the Super Tuck or whatever the shit that was called. And we were speculating because we all mountain bike and have dropper posts on our mountain bike. We said it's only a matter of time until somebody has a dropper post in a road race. Well, today the winner of Milan San Remo had one, and I mean it's going to be big news.
Yeah, I think first of all, that's by coincidence. Mohoric is also basically the inventor of the Super Tuck. So now it's actually a coincidence that he's also the first rider who wins a big classic with that technology. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a debate about it in the next week, whether it's okay to use it, to not use it. I am almost sure that the UCI is going to ban it. For sure, the technicians in Team Bahrain, they have looked into the rules, and there's obviously nothing that says that you can't use it, but they are going to ban it. I am almost sure about that.
And it's funny, Johan, just JB asked you in the pre-show, he said, why? And Johan's answer, of course, was just because they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just want to add in what he said at the finish line about using a dropper post. He said the team came up with the idea of using a dropper post. They knew this race suits me very well, and there's a descent at the end. He's already a good descender. He continues on, says, the team set up a bike for me, and I had this plan for a long time. At first, I didn't think it would make a big difference on the descents, but then I tried it in training, and the first time I tried it, I was amazed. Mm-hmm. And when you read quotes like that, that's the kind of shit that the UCI is like, well, if it's amazing, then surely it can't be legal.
You know what it makes me think of is that, and Lance, you've been vocal about this in years past, the effect that a dropper post can have on the industry, right? So we all watch this, and what happens at your local bike shop? They're going, oh shit, we better order some dropper posts. And the people that the weekend warriors are running in and buying them. It's good for the industry.
Well, I think any innovation or evolution, gosh, and a buzz like this is great. But the UCI, and we don't need to spend the show talking about these lamos, but they often just sort of cripple any innovation, and
they have and that.
And they're famous for it. And for a sport that nowadays really depends so much on the industry, I might find a happy median here. Okay, I get it. We don't want people riding, unicycles, right? But we got to let this stuff develop and evolve and let tech do its thing. And to your point, JB, let people sit at home and go, holy shit, honey, I got to run down to the bike store.
Buy something.
I gotta buy me some shit. I got to buy me a dropper post today. Baby.
And when they go in to get to the dropper post, they're going to buy another kit and some gloves. And,
Amen.
It's all good for the industry.
Amen. Milo Johnny's at 4th and Brazos in Austin, Texas. But it was, to me, and we can get into all this stuff. I mean, Pogačar was my pick. I went on the record with that the other day. He looked amazing. I'm not sure what he was, and maybe, this is not his style of race. He's new to trying, to being one of the favorites, but what was he thinking on the Poggio with that much power, that much potential, that much sort of breakaway speed? Why go so early? Continue to go.
I think that was also, one of his only ways to drop. I mean, he was never going to drop them with one attack, because with him being such a big favorite on beforehand, who would dare to attack before Pogačar? It's like, so Pogačar had to go early. It was clear already. His team made the race hard on the Cipressa. So one thing to take away from this race is that after the Cipressa, no little groups came back between the Cipressa and the Poggio. There's like 11 kilometers where normally little groups come back before the bottom of the Poggio. Nobody came back. So the guys who were there, they already had been on their limit. And other than that, those guys, there was maybe, let's say, 8 to 10 guys who were pretty solid on the Cipressa and 15 who were hanging on, right? So I think that was mission accomplished on the Cipressa for him. And then he had, 2 teammates. One was Polanc and the other one was Ulissi, I guess. Yeah. Formolo and Ulissi.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the Poggio, the Poggio is not a climb. I mean, it's hard because it's after 300 kilometers. But it's 3, 4, 5% maximum. It's not that hard. So
right.
Pogačar would never drop Van Aert. At the end, we could see that the strongest rider in the end of the Poggio was actually Søren Kragh Andersen. He was the guy who almost dropped Pogačar and almost dropped Van Aert.
Our old favorite, the Ska Rocker.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I said on a recent show, you never even see a grimace or pain in Pogačar. You did when Søren Kragh Andersen attacked.
Yeah. But it's such an amazing race. Milan San Remo. You're bored during 270 kilometers.
Yep.
You can hardly say, okay, the Cipressa, they go fast, but nothing happens. But then, from the Poggio on till the end, it's just, it's a Hitchcock thriller, right?
That's a new one for the move.
Oh,
holy.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, because I got up early and I started watching early. I'm like, why am I watching this with 120K to go? But that last bit is like watching the Kentucky Derby.
No,
kind of
crazy.
Excitement.
It was crazy. And, the thing is, I mean, with the exception of Pidcock, who, was the big disappointment of today. I don't know, something must be wrong. There's rumors that he also has this bug or is getting this bug that goes around, because the way he got dropped on the Capo Berta was not normal.
Right.
So, but all the other big names were there. It was, Pogačar, Van der Poel, Wout van Aert, the big stars were there.
Well, and just pause on that. I mean, I think Van der Poel, of course, Mathieu Van der Poel, that's one of, at least for me, that's one of the top 3 takeaways from this race. He was almost felt like a last minute addition to the start list. hasn't, we've read all the stories and obviously the big mountain bike crash at the Olympics, in the mountain bike race, I should say, but has been nowhere, but clearly been training, and the back is better.
First race of the season. I mean, that's the amazing thing of nowadays. The way these guys know exactly where. I've heard several interviews of riders. Not just guys that did Milan San Remo. Yesterday, for example, I heard Pascal Ackermann. He won a race in Belgium, and his first race since he's changed to UAE. And he said, and you always hear it. I am now better than I was 2 years ago when I won all those races. They know exactly what their level is. So it just depends on the racing circumstances, but they know exactly how good they are.
But I tell you, it's one thing to finish in the front group and have just held on over the Cipressa and the Poggio. When Pogačar did go, and of course Van Aert was on his wheel, the way he bridged that gap, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's been on the couch, so to speak, for a month. Holy hell!
Yeah.
This is a new game.
How do you speculate that Van der Poel got race fit without racing? Because that's a difficult thing to do.
Listen, I know he's been for a month and a half in the south of Spain, around Valencia, Denia. He has stayed in a special hotel. There's a special hotel there.
This is going to be good.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody get your browsers open. Reserve some rooms.
With altitude rooms.
Come on.
Yes, really? There's a hotel there run by an ex-cyclist, the Russian guy, Kolobnev. I don't know if you remember that guy. The guy who sold Liège-Bastogne-Liège to Vinokurov a few years ago.
They got a good number for it, though. What do you think? He got 250 grand, didn't he?
No, more. I think more.
More?
Yeah.
I'd have sold it too.
But tell me more about an altitude room.
Yeah.
but so, obviously that hotel is becoming super popular amongst. So the guy has been training in great weather, great terrain, and basically simulated altitude.
Right. Listen, and this is, I can't believe I can't believe that hadn't been done before. The key is to live high, train low. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't know how much time Van der Poel spends in the room. I think you might go crazy, right? I mean, you figure you sleep in there, so you're in there 10 hours a day, but the ideal is to live high. So that's why we always went to Tenerife. You basically live at 7,000 or 8,000 feet for, 18, 20 hours a day, maybe more if you had a rest day. Yeah. And then you could drop down and train sea level. So you don't lose that power. But this is a hell of an idea. I've never even heard of that.
Wait, what is the name of the hotel? Because you're going to crash their website. They're going to go.
I'm going to call him and ask for a commission for recommendations. So, okay. But it's in the Denia area between Valencia and Alicante, and it's in the middle of nowhere.
So it must be an interesting tech because it's not that uncommon up here in Aspen because folks struggle with the altitude here, and as you get older, it just gets harder and harder to maintain a normal daily life. So there are houses here, or certainly bedrooms here, where people can pump oxygen into the room and bring it instead of 8,000 feet, they'll have it at 3,000 feet. So at least, for their 10 hours a day, they're living at sea level, basically.
Yeah.
It's a damn good idea. That's a great scoop, Jan.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. And for those listening who just can't pack up and take off to Valencia, for the hotel. Did you guys have a lot of experience with altitude tents or something that's more accessible, affordable?
I've had a bunch of experience. It's just such a cramp on your style.
But nowadays they all do it, Lance. There's not a single detail that they leave unturned, and altitude tents is one of the standard equipment of every top professional right now.
No shit.
Yeah. So obviously, listen, Van der Poel was there. The main reason why he's in the front is that he's, first of all, an unbelievably classy and talented bike rider, and he trained damn hard. He trained very, very hard. On top of that, the altitude is a little bonus, is a little help, but his condition from today didn't come falling out of the sky all of a sudden. Right. I was really impressed by him.
But I think to JB's point, I mean, whatever it is, whether it's, staying in an altitude tent or a hotel, but their training is so specific and so dialed now. And, this is Milan San Remo. This is fast. I mean, look at the average speed, one of the fastest on record. So probably a lot of motor pacing, but they can simulate, he's born with, a golden set of legs and lungs. We know his pedigree. We know his family's history. He just kind of came out like peddling. But they can, but it's hard. And mentally it's hard, like to go out and race simulate and create that intensity.
Yeah, no, it's very hard.
Did you catch him in the post interview? They asked if, he wants to win Milan San Remo someday. He goes, I'm getting older too. He's such a he's 27, by the way. He's older than I realized, but still, you've talked about it in the past year, how they're starting younger and careers are ending younger.
Well, that time will tell on that one.
In nowadays cycling, Mathieu van der Poel is already an experienced veteran.
Oh, stop with this.
Yeah, he is. He is.
So my back. All right, before we jump into the second half of the show, today's show also brought to you by Element Tea. We talk about it all the time. This is my go-to hydration source. I sweat my ass off. I can run hot, and I got to replace it. Element Tea is my go-to. It's a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium. No junk, no sugar, no coloring, no gluten, no fillers, no Putin even. No bullshit. I drink it every day when I train. Special offer for our listeners. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove for a free sample pack. That's drinklmnt.com/themove. Last one. Another one of my faves. I love just talking about stuff that I like. This is amazing. 10,000, my go-to work. And by the way, there's no bullshit. Head on over to 10,000.cc. You'll see this is the best workout gear. Like if you're off the bike and in the gym, whether it's the fit, the look, the fabrics, the options, 10,000 5-star reviews. So don't take it from me. I don't know. Take it from 10,000 other people. Free shipping and returns. Head on over to 10,000.cc. Enter the code THEMOVE to receive 15% off your purchase. Last time, 10,000.cc, code THEMOVE.
A couple other things I jotted down about Mohoric that makes it even more amazing. He crashed in Strade Bianche. He was sick.
Was he in that crash with Alaphilippe?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, wow.
That makes it even more impressive. And was sick last month. But one of my questions I had for you guys, he's won stages in all 3 Grand Tours, 2 in the Tour de France. Could we see 3 Slovenians duking it out, or is Mohoric just an opportunist?
No.
He's not quite well rounded.
He's a roller. Okay. But speaking of 3 Slovenians duking it out, worth noting. I mean, this is Milan San Remo. This is one of the oldest bike races in the world. One of the 5 monuments. 3 Slovenians in the top 9,
and one of them isn't Primož Roglic.
Exactly. That's true.
Right.
But he wasn't far off. Where was he?
He was there. He was up there. He was just in the little group behind. But Tratnik is the other Slovenian. Yeah.
But this is what happens, right? A country has. I mean, it's one thing to have Roglic and Pogačar, but your country mates see that, right? They see, wow, these guys, they're on TV every night. They're making bank, and everything. We saw it. We don't need to go back door. We saw it with the Americans. You see it with different. I mean, it happens. Those guys are. I'm sure they're good bike riders, but they're a lot better because Roglic and Pogačar are who they are. So they're sitting there going, "Shit, I want a piece of this cake."
But I mean, a guy like Mohoric and Tratnik were already very good in the youth categories. Tratnik he's in his 30s. This guy. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, this guy has been on Quick Step.
Caveman.
On Quick Step. This guy has been on Quick Step in his young, like a first year or second year professional. They're really good bike riders. And, I think a guy like Tratnik, for example, it's amazing he's still there. When obviously the leader of the team was Mohoric. That's the thing about Milan San Remo, right? That the sprinters, it's difficult if they hang into a group, it's very unlikely they're going to still have a teammate with them. So, you could clearly see as soon as Mohoric came on the flat, and there was nobody going to pull for nobody, because you know that you lose all your chances. I think what we should talk about also is, we have talked about the dropper post, and let's not forget, he is one of the best descenders in the world. But man, he had two close calls.
He took a lot of He
had two really close calls. Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching it going, whoa, oh no, God, I can't look.
Yeah.
But it is and I was joking at the top of the show, like safety third, like this game. Yes, everybody talks about climbing and having to climb, climbing times and body weight and all this. Kids, do not forget. I mean, today was a great example, but you want to go win a big tour, you have to also go downhill. And I mean, go downhill fast. Right. Yeah. It's a big part of the game. So, I mean, what won the bike race today? We were all talking about who's going to go on the Poggio. What won the bike race today? Somebody going downhill. Amazing.
Same thing with Pogacar in Strade Bianche. He went away on a downhill. Of course, he went 50 kilometers afterwards, but no, going downhill is crucial. I mean, that's what I fear a little bit about. Didn't race today, but like our young Belgian Remco Evenepoel, I think that's his big problem, that he lacks the skills of following these guys on the downhills.
But you've been on record too. I know Lance for sure. And again, we won't count a race like this because it always has the same finish. But in stage races, you don't like the downhill deciding the win. You haven't been a fan of that in that past, and the risk it puts them in. Luckily, dry conditions today, but it's a lot of danger involved with the downhill.
Well, I don't think stages in the Alps or Pyrenees when they should finish on a downhill when it's preceded by an iconic climb. Finish on, obviously. I mean, don't go up, the Tourmalet or and then finish on the downhill. You know what I mean? Like those have to be. I'm using that as an example, but that I'm not a fan of. Now, what happens if they decide to do it like that and the guys have to race downhill? Well, what happens? Mm-hmm. That's my point. But
in the past, there's been a time trial in the Giro d'Italia. The prologue was start at the top of the Poggio, finish on the Via Roma.
No way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You can look it up. Yeah.
What year? Like 1903?
No, Stephen Roach won it. Stephen Roach won the prologue.
He was a good descender, clearly.
I did want to point out too, if you haven't listened to or watched our Up and Comer show, you should, because learning new names and faces is great for interest in the sport. One of Johan's picks to watch was in the hunt today, Biniam Girmay.
Yeah, he was up there for a long time. Yeah,
that was impressive.
Yeah, no, I think it's obviously he's relatively unexperienced compared to all these other big talents, but no, the guy's a real racer. We're gonna hear the name Biniam Girmay
for sure.
Who'd ever thought? Yeah, right. Who'd ever thought?
Another thing that's funny is Lance thinks it's a little weird because you were a guy that didn't want to give away information, and these young riders. They've grown up in a social media world, so they put their stuff on Strava. Like all this information where you guys would have been like, no way am I giving you my power meter readings. I
don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's right.
It's great. Listen, it's great for the fans. It's great for everybody who's a fan of the sport. As a professional athlete, I still think it's stupid because I mean, why would
there goes the Strava sponsorship. Well,
sorry.
No, but you looked up immediately after the race. You saw Wout van Aert's. Yeah. So Wout van Aert, because I was trying to look at the times up Cipressa and Poggio, and believe it or not, on Strava, and also believe it or not, a lot of these guys put their race file on Strava. And they don't have like an actual segment, at least that I can see, for the Cipressa, which they have like 10 different small segments. I mean, how about we make one that starts at the bottom?
In the meantime, I have the time.
Okay.
Cipressa, so it's not a record, 5:59. So, what we saw was spectacular, the attacks, but there has been a lot of little moments that they have been slowing down. It's not the same as one big attack from the bottom and keep going. So 5:59, the record is 5:46 in 95 by Laurent Jalabert and Maurice Fondriest.
Oh, yeah,
and usually I was in that race.
Well, slightly higher octane
on that team. But normally it's 5:50, 5:55. So today was relatively slow on the Poggio, actually. But that's the proof that the times are not everything. I enjoyed it, more than any Poggio where they broke the record. It was super, super entertaining and super spectacular.
Yeah. More tactical is definitely more exciting.
So I was, as going back to the Strava things, I'm looking at all these files. Of course, 186 miles, right around 6,500 feet of vert, which isn't very much over almost 7 hours. But Wout van Aert, and of course it's in Flemish, but I don't know what the fuck this means. So I'm trying to pronounce it to Johan in the pre-show, and it says, I'm like, Ochtendrit. How do you say that?
Ochtendrit.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what's that mean? Like, that must mean the guy just did Milan San Remo, was, the tip pointy end of the spear, could have won. And I'm like, this must say something super epic. And Johan's like, oh, that means morning ride. I'm like, well, yeah, just out for a little 190 mile morning ride, guys. What are you doing? On your fat ass sitting at home.
What happens is that all those guys, they have their Garmin or whatever GPS device, Wahoo, or connected straight away to Strava. As soon as they connect to the Wi-Fi in the bus, probably it uploads straight away to Strava. So that's what happens. They don't even do anything.
Like magic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hey, speaking of cool stuff, we did, and we promoted it on the socials, but we'll talk about it here. So Johan and I did a episode of The Forward with Jaroslav Popovic, who's doing amazing work, humanitarian work, driving supplies, critical supplies from where he lives in Italy right to the border in Ukraine, medicine, food, clothing, just really, really needed
transportation. They're trying to get people from the border into cities. Yeah.
So give that a listen while we get you. Pretty fascinating. Okay. What else?
Well, the first monument was won by the Other Slovenian.
Right.
We were talking about, we've been talking about two Slovenians who have dominated basically the whole season, but another one's there. And, we already knew he's a great rider, but this is typical, a team which had a plan. His mission was just try to stay with the first 10, 15 and then just, go in the downhill. That was their plan. And man, I think it must feel great on a team like that to, have a plan and it works perfectly. I mean, imagine, the celebration in the bus after the race. It must be crazy.
Well, and they obviously thought about it. I mean, the dropper post is, he said it. He said the team set up the bike for me. They thought this was a good race for me. They were thinking about it. Johan, what's up with the guy with Anthony Turgis? This is new name for me.
Second place. He's a good classics rider.
I said new name for me, which doesn't mean very much because I don't know very much. But
no, he's a good classic rider. But I was surprised also to see him up there. He's been up there in the one day races for a while. Never that close, but this is the typical guy. He's in great shape. He's been hiding. Nobody's been watching him, and he was there. And at the end, obviously, he could take advantage of the surveillance of the other favorites. Van der Poel, Van Aert, Pedersen, Michael Matthews, and could get away. And wow, imagine he would have caught. he was coming. He was coming. At some point, Krag Andersen had a problem with his. Mohoric had a problem with the chain. That would have been a surprise. That
front angle always throws you, though, right? We talk about it all the time, that. You're like, oh, he's got you, and then they do the helicopter shot of him. We're like, no, he's not. He's good. But he kept looking back. I said, stop looking back. Pedal the fucking bike. Don't look back. Go.
Mohoric, once he's. We've seen in the Tour, man. Once he's going, it's so difficult to get him back. He is. It's one of these guys who technically is close to perfection, not just going down. His position You know, if you look at his position on his road bike when he's, going, his RPM, he's calculated his RPM to perfection, relatively low cadence. But man, he looks amazing on a bike once he's going on his own.
And, as happens all the time, whoever does get that gap, whether you attack on the downhill like he did, or you just are the guy to make the attack that nobody follows. When you have all of those big favorites behind you, you saw it. I mean, of course, we see it a lot with these two, with Van Aert and Van der Poel looking at each other. Van der Poel didn't really want to pull. Mm-hmm. But it's this game of like, you're all looking at each other going, look, I know if we all were just brothers here, we'd say, okay, let's pull right now. Yeah. And you easily catch them. Yeah. But they're all thinking, they're trying to find this fine balance of, okay, I know we have to catch him if we want to win, but I also have to conserve if I want to win the sprint. So it's just this game, cat and mouse game playing and oftentimes
and also a tiny
last year too with Jasper Stuyven.
Yeah. Also a tiny little bit, the motorbikes. It always gives you a little.
Come on, you see the downhill. Okay. Oh no, you saw, dude.
I forget to watch for that.
A little bit. We haven't even talked. And listen, the guy rode a hell of a race and rode a daring downhill. But yes, I mean, but hey, by the way, if you're the guy who decides to go and you get a gap and you're in the front,
yeah, you have to be there.
This was also there.
Advantage. Yeah,
yeah. The moto's not following the guy in like fucking 12th place going downhill, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah. So, well, this was exciting. We got a couple more weeks till Tour of Flanders.
Next one is Flanders, and then in between Flanders and Roubaix we have Amstel Gold Race. Big change this year. There's 2 weeks in between, so that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. But yeah, Flanders is next, which is the 5th of April.
Yep. Is it? Wow. I was hoping to do a subtle flex and tell you that I'd be doing that show from Kauai, but
or the 4th.
I'll be 4th. I see the 4th on the calendar.
It's the 4th. Yeah, the 4th of April. Yeah.
Yeah, I get back the 3rd, so I'll be sitting right here doing it.
Okay, great.
I think I get back the 3rd. All right. Exciting day. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll see you guys guys and gals. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Ciao.